From flooding to fires, climate change is closer to home, literally. So, what does that mean to your property value, right? Your insurance bill, if you're shopping for a home, your future plans. Let's break that down, guys. Today on Teach Me Tuesday, we're going to talk all about Mother Nature, right? Whenever you're going to buy a house, sometimes Mother Nature is not even a thought or topic that you should probably be considering when you're looking to purchase a home or if you already are a homeowner. So this is the episode for you today because we're going to talk about we're in hurricane season right now here in the low country in South Carolina. So when these storms and rains and floods and things like that come through our city, how does that really impact you when it's time to buy a house? So guys, we're going to talk about it. So one, I was born in 1987. Hugo came, I think, 2 years,
Right.
2 years after that. So I remember it, but don't remember it, right?
Man, you don't
I
Right.
remember
remember
Hugo. You
I
not remember.
remember the remnants of it, vaguely in this
Right.
headline. And so, but that was a long time ago. But since then, we've had plenty of hurricanes that came through the low country that has impacted, the real estate market. A lot of times when hurricanes come, like things just stop, right? It comes to a halt, especially in our world. The insurance company can't write policies. We got to do re-inspections on properties. There's all kinds of stuff. And if you're shopping for a home, you're like, what do I do? Right? What do I do? How do I know if this home is safe for my family? Is there rising water in the backyard? All kinds of questions. So today that's what we're going to talk about, guys. The trio is back. I know we kind of the last couple of weeks we got one of us, two of us, some of us, none of
I
us,
know,
but now
man.
we're all we're all back together again to kind of talk about some great things. All right, so let's just talk about the obvious. Living near water, right?
Mhm.
It's getting more expensive. A lot of areas I know here in the Charleston market that wasn't kind of deemed a flood zone are becoming a flood zone, and flood
Mm.
insurance is something that's now needed on a lot of properties. And sometimes people may not be taking that into consideration when they're thinking about their budget and it's time to buy a house. So, guys, talk to me. What do y'all think? Have you, Wilma? Is that something like when you go show people houses, does the MLS kind of indicate if the house is in a flood zone, or did that come up at all?
Well, so we have to check for it. It
Okay.
doesn't indicate it like, hey, flood zone. No, we have to go. It's a little button we click, and then it takes us to
Right.
a site that has, whether the home is in a minimal flood zone, medium or flood zone, or is it like, yeah, you're definitely in a flood zone. So it kind of has it in categories.
Okay.
So, and we can let the client know about that, and then also I make sure I talk with the lender to let them know, hey guys, this might have some, additional costs because of flood insurance may be required to purchase this property. And a lot of times it's on like the property disclosure
Okay.
as well. Like if the current homeowners know that it's in a flood zone, they have to disclose that it's in a flood zone and they have flood insurance. Okay.
Now, this may be a silly question, but I really don't know. I mean, is Orangeburg County is huge. It's not just
Mm-hmm.
Orangeburg, but is
Mm-hmm.
is parts of, do you know if parts of Orangeburg County is considered a flood zone? Because where Orangeburg is located, it's a little more inland than we are here, like in the Charleston
Right.
area. But are there
Right.
some area, are some spots in Orangeburg County that you know of that may fall in the flood zone?
You know what? I do believe it is. Recently, and I don't know what this is all been all. This has happened very recent. I don't even think it was like this when we had that 1,000 year flood or whatever. But like,
Yes.
so it uh recently in that Edisto, old Edisto area by
Mhm.
that
Oh,
by the
By the
Edisto
river.
River, man, we had a recent flood over there in that area, man. Like the Walmart over there flooded, the neighborhood
oh wow.
Walmart. And so like, there's some homes in that vicinity over there as
Mhm.
well, but if it is, it's very few. Okay, I haven't heard people get scary about like, man, don't live over there, it flood, like that. So I haven't really seen a whole lot of that, but I do know that particular area near the river is considered. I've seen that flood recently. So yeah.
So do y'all guys think that like do you think that's like a like no, avoid that property just because it falls in a flood zone? What do you
No,
think, Dad?
no, I don't. I don't think it's a. It's a necessary a no. Because I mean, you just got to weigh out the pros and cons. And in most, I can't say in most. Like, let's just think about the coastal front property, right?
Mhm.
You decide to buy a house near the beach or on the beach or near the lake, or near a stream, body that a stream of water. Those things, when it rains heavily, water levels rise. But
Right.
the views and the convenience of having access to the beach or having access to go fishing in your backyard, or just the see the beautiful stream of water always running by your house. Some people find that to be priceless, and are
Right.
willing to adapt and accept the risk that kind of comes with that. And they also build homes to help negate, like, your house is built on stilts, or
Yeah.
you know
Higher foundation. Uh-huh.
yeah, higher foundation, things of that sort,
Mm-hmm.
to
Mm-hmm.
mitigate, when it is likely to flood, that it doesn't happen as often.
Man.
But yeah, I don't think it's
So
a no. I think it's just what people are willing to tolerate.
so Gavin, I got a funny little story. So in my prior occupation, I was a insurance adjuster, right?
Mm-hmm.
I used to live in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. So
But,
so there were areas of Louisiana that just had a surreal like feeling because the only thing holding the water back was the levees, right?
mm-hmm.
Oh, wow.
Like it's these huge mounds, right? That just separates you from all of that water over there. So I would be in a backyard like this taking a picture. I'd be, I'm taking pictures of the house, the damages and everything. And I remember I would never forget this. I used to have to take ferries to get to certain properties. So I used to drive my car on a ferry and they would take me over to the area where the home was, right? Craziness. My wife was like, "Oh my God, I can't believe you gotta do this."
Make sure I got
So
life insurance on you.
I know, right? And I was like, man, this is like every time I had to go in those areas, I'm like, man, this is like adventurous, right? Adventurous. So I remember this one time though. I was in the backyard and I was taking a picture of the house and I looked back and guess what? It was one of those huge cargo ships just going right past. And it
Oh,
Mm-hmm.
was
wow.
it was literally it was so close to me. I was like, man, it felt like a building, right? And it was just this was in the backyard.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So like it's like I know I went way off topic just now, but you said, oh, I remember hearing you say like houses on stilts. Like literally, they had to build those houses up. I believe that's like I think like the water level or something like that. I
Mm-hmm.
don't know exactly the terminology when it comes to that. But yeah, it was homes would be on these high foundations, high platforms, just in case water did overflow and flood the area. To make sure that the water didn't get in the house, it would stay underneath the house. So
Mm-hmm.
Well, thank you
yeah,
for sharing that. I mean, that's good to know. Like sometimes like we may, take for granted that, that's not necessarily our day-to-day living,
right,
but
right.
but still that happens. The world is bigger than our little area here in Charleston
Mm-hmm.
and you in Orangeburg. But just for our viewers to understand, and just so if you're thinking about buying a house, and the first thing that a question that you need to add that we will always now recommend that you add to your list of things is really put thought into, do you want a home that's in a flood area or not? Because you may
Mm-hmm.
want the nice water views. It's very serene and pretty, and,
Mm,
and it's just calming and relaxing to look at the water. But also, are you considering that in your budget as well?
right.
And so, one of the
Mm-hmm.
things that we highly recommend that people do nowadays, because a lot of insurance companies are pulling out of coastal areas, they're pulling out of certain markets, especially over on the West Coast where they're having all those wildfires and things like that. They're like, hey, we can insure these areas, right? And so,
Mm-hmm.
or if they do offer insurance, the insurance premium are way more, way higher than what you probably would
Right.
anticipated or even budgeted for. So when you're thinking about, okay, hey, where do I want my mortgage payment to be? What's affordable for me? Make sure you're thinking about homeowners insurance. And I would even take it a step further. If you're really considering putting an offer in on that property, go ahead and
Mm.
get a homeowner insurance quote. Or maybe
Mm.
ask the seller, like, hey, what are you paying for insurance? Is your policy transferable or something like that, to make sure that you're considering that in your budget
Yeah,
before
yeah.
you do it.
Another thing to also consider, man, when you are purchasing in a flood area, flood zone, you know, it's all about access too. When it does happen, the area does actually potentially flood, you know, you got to think about, well, am I going to be stuck here? Am I going to have access to, you know, roadways to get me somewhere safe,
This
or
is
Right.
true.
or does it only not just flood in where I live, but does it flood en route to, you know, to the highway or to the interstate,
Right.
or for me to be able to exit in case of there's an emergency? Because a lot of you have to. I mean, it's a lot to think about, but it's
Yeah.
something to take into consideration.
I just thought about something though. Like Wilmot, do you see a lot of times? Because I hear on our end, realtors may tell me that a lot of clients may want to go out and look at properties when it's
Hmm.
raining or right after it's rained, to kind of
Mm.
see if their house that they're potentially considering buying is holding water.
Right.
Do you get that often? Do you have clients that ask like, "Hey, let's go out and check out this property. We just got some good rain through," or anything like that?
Man, yeah, you know what? I've heard that a couple
Yeah.
times. You know, especially with like new construction,
Oh
right?
yeah, that's a big one.
People are like, well, man, they building those houses. Look at where they're building those houses. You know,
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
did they have the proper drainage,
Mhm.
necessary for, you know, during heavy downpours? You know, where's that
Yeah.
water gonna go? You know, is it just gonna sit in my yard? Is my house gonna flood? What? You
Mhm.
know, so I do get that. I don't get it a lot, but I do get that, and that's a, good point to go buy a property when it's been raining for maybe a few days, and just to see, how it's shedding water or if it's holding water. Yeah.
Yeah,
Hmm.
I love that. And so I know we talked a lot about water and things like that, just because, I guess I'm a little biased. We're in the coastal city over here, so we get a lot of water and things like that on our end.
Mm-hmm.
But don't sleep on, like I said, the wildfires are happening in the, West Coast, Midwest, things like that. But even here sometimes, I mean, we get tornadoes, we get crazy wind storms and things like
Hurricane.
that too.
Yeah,
Yeah, because
we
it's
get wind.
hurricanes. So yeah. Well, hurricane is, yeah, both water and wind.
Yeah, I
So
mean,
yeah.
hurricane brings flash flooding, but the winds is uh,
Absolutely.
also, you know, as scary. But yeah, you know, you got to think about that as well,
Indeed.
because a lot of, I mean, when we look around the Low Country, and even South Carolina, period, you know, there's a lot of manufactured homes,
That's true.
and you know, fortunately and unfortunately, I mean, manufactured homes aren't built as sturdy as, you know, your traditional stick built or brick home. Um, so it makes them more, you know, riskier in terms of susceptible
Hmm.
to damages, and it doesn't take you know, hurricane force winds to damage a manufactured or mobile home.
Hmm.
It can just be, you know, high wind, you know, moderate to high wind speeds that can, you know, really do some damage. Um,
Right.
and that's one reason why uh, those homeowners insurance and policies for, you know, manufactured and mobile homes are a lot more expensive than they
Right.
are in your traditional, because
That's true.
the likelihood that they'll need to be replaced or damage will happen to them is definitely more likely. So
Right.
that's something to take into consideration as
If
well.
I if I could add something, like, one thing I want people to, be mindful of in your policy, right? Is there something you might have a different deductible for storms? Okay. Different
Yep.
deductible for hurricanes, different deductible for hail, you know. It's not one set deductible a lot of times for everything, So your deductible for hurricane may be, I don't know, 1%, 2% of your insurance total dwelling policy, right? So, or just to keep it simple, let's just say it might be for hurricanes $2,000. For everything else, it might be one. Okay, so
Mm-hmm.
just be mindful of that before. Let's say you have some damage to your property, and you want to call in a claim, and let's just say one or two of your shutters blew off, but you got a $2,000 deductible. It might not be worth you calling in that claim. Okay.
Yeah.
might be worth you calling a contract to give you an estimate to see if it would breach that 2,000. But even if it breaches 2,000, let's say the contract says 2,500, you still might not call that claim because your insurance company is only going to pay for the difference. All right, so which might be 500. So I know I just went way technical just now, but
Yeah.
I
But it's
just
good stuff. It's really good stuff.
I just want you to understand, like you need, it might be, if you're a homeowner, take the time to understand your policy so that
Yes.
you know when to call on a claim, when not to call on a claim. Okay.
Yep.
So yeah.
That's really good advice. Really good advice. So, just to recap, right? Recap what we're talking about here when it comes to just Mother Nature, right? Things that you don't necessarily think about all the time when you're entering your journey of purchasing or even selling your home. And so, some practical tips for you before we leave for today. Like Wilmot said, make sure you review the insurance policy, shop for insurance early if you're purchasing. And as a current homeowner that's preparing to either sell their home, something that you can do is like to add value to your property is do some upgrades on your windows, do some upgrades on just your different panel, like he said, shutters. Make sure that stuff is intact. Make sure you're selling a nice, safe, sound home. So guys, if you have any questions, yes, you're late, EJ. You're late. You're late. You're late.
Appreciate you, brother.
Hey, send me a
Thanks
trade.
anyway, brother.
But go back and watch it. It's some really good stuff. But guys, if you always have any questions regarding anything, all things mortgage, Teach Me Tuesday, we're always here to give you guys some great topics, just to educate you on just how you can be more equipped to buy, sell, invest in real estate, guys. So until next time, we'll see you guys next week. Y'all have a great week.
Have a great one.
Peace.